Hello everyone and welcome to this video. In this video, we're going to talk about Algebra 5, solving quadratic equations by factorization. Now, we studied factorization and factorizing before, and now we're going to use factorizing or factorization to solve equations like these. For example, when you factorize and you get double brackets, how do you solve this after factorizing? Basically, you would say one of them or each one of them will equal zero. So if you have a question like this, let me cover this first, and they will tell you to solve these. You have a question like this, and they will tell you to solve. Solving means what? It means take each one of them alone and make it equal to the zero that they gave you. So at the beginning, you say x plus 1 equals 0, and then you solve it using this. So let's start with this. So x plus 1 equals 0. That's the first part. And then you make x the subject. So I'm going to take the one to the other side. It's going to be -1. So x will equal -1. And this is the first part or the first answer for x. Now I'm going to take the second part, which is x plus 2, x plus 2, and I'm going to make it equal 0. So I'm going to take the second part, x plus 2 equals 0. Same steps. So x plus 2 equals 0. Now I'm going to make x the subject. So I'm going to take the 2 to the other side. So x will equal -2. And this is the second answer for solving this double bracket equation or quadratic equation. Now, in solving, as we said, we take the first part, we make it equal to 0. And then the second part will make it equal to 0. And then we make x the subject in both of them. And at the end, we will get our answers. So the answers or the final answers are here. X equals -1, x equals -2. Now let's take a look at another question so we get the idea. The question will come like this. They will give you two brackets or maybe three brackets like this, and they will tell you to solve. So let's take a look at this one here. The three bracket or triple bracket. Same idea. We have three parts. It means we have three answers. So we take the first part, we make it equal to 0 like this, and then we solve it for x. So we say x plus 1 equals 0, and then we take the 1 to the other side. So x will equal -1. And this is the first answer or the first value of x. Now we move on to the next part of the equation here, x minus 1. We say x minus 1 equals 0. X minus 1 equals 0. Same steps. X minus 1 equals 0. And then we take the 1 to the other side. So x will equal +1. And this is the second answer for x. And then the last part or the third part that we're going to solve with is the last one here. 2x plus 5. We make it equal to 0. Same steps. And then we solve it for x. So 2x plus 5 equals 0. First step, we take the 5 to the other side. So 2x will equal -5. As we always talk about this, once you take something to the other side, you have to change the signs. If it's positive, make it negative. If it's negative, make it positive, like we did here. If it's multiplied, you divide by it. If it's divided, you multiply by it. Now, I want to take the 2 to the other side because it's multiplied. It means I'm going to take it by dividing. So the x will equal -5 divide 2. Divide 2 like this. Focus on the steps because they are very important. Make sure you have many steps. So even the ones or the teachers who are correcting the papers will collect as much marks as possible. So x will equal -5 divide 2. 5 divide 2 is 2.5. So x will equal -2.5. And these three answers are the final answers for this question. So in this solving question, we have this answer, and this answer. Because we had three brackets, it means we have three values of x's. Now let's move on and check the other questions. here. Let me put this here. Zoom out. Okay. So as we said, this might come like this, factorized, and sometimes it will come as a quadratic equation, and you're supposed to factorize the expression here, and then solve it the same steps that we did here. So focus on this. You might have to factorize and then solve. So let's take one of these questions, factorize and then solve. Let's take a double bracket one first. Let's take this, for example. Yes, let me cover this. So as we said, first you have to factorize and then solve. Sometimes in the question, they will tell you factorize and then hence solve. Even in the foundation questions, they will give you this, they will tell you factorize, and then under it, hence solve. This means using the factorization or the factorizing answer, use it and solve the quadratic equation. Now, to factorize this, as we said, first thing we do, we look at what? Very good. We look at the last sign. The last sign here is what? It's a positive sign, like this, positive sign. So what do? We write add on top of it. This means we need to add the numbers. Focus on these steps because they will help you. I know that some of you can answer it mentally, but sometimes steps are important so we don't make any mistakes. So here, this is a positive sign. It means add. Now, because here we have three elements and all of them don't have anything in common, this means we have to use the double bracket method in factorization or factorizing. So this means we need double brackets like this, like this. Now, after putting the double brackets, I'll put x here and x on the other one, like this. So we need two x's, like this. Okay. And then when we want or when we decide to put the signs, we have to look at this sign because this is adding. It means when do we add? Very good. We add when we have the same signs. So addition happens if you have the same signs. This means that this sign and this sign should be the same. Now, how do we know the sign? We have to look back at the first or the second sign. So we look back here because this is negative. It means we need two numbers. When you add them, you get a negative 3. This means that both of them will be negative because addition happens when you have the same signs, when you have the same signs like this. Now we established the signs. We know that both of them will be negative because this is addition. Now you need two numbers. When you multiply them, you get 2. And when you add them, you get 3. When you add them, you get 3. The only numbers that you get from multiplying, the only numbers that give you 2 when you multiply them are 1 and 2. This means that this one is 1 and this one is 2. Now, if you put 2 here and 1 here, no problem because they have the same signs. This means you can mix their places. No problem of changing their places. Now, let's move on to the next part, which is what? Very good, which is solving because this one equals 0. Now, I want to solve it as we did before. We said in solving, we have to take this part and make it equal to 0, like this, and then solve it for x or find the value of x. So x minus 1 equals 0. Now we take the 1 or the negative 1 to the other side. This will change the sign of the 1 and it will make it positive 1. So x will equal 1. That's the first value of x. Now I do the same with the other part. Let's do it here. So the other part of the brackets or the other bracket, x minus 2 equals 0. Now, same steps, x minus 2 equals 0. Now, I take the negative 2 to the other side, and it will become positive 2. And these two are the answers for the solving of this quadratic equation. So the first answer, x equals 1. The second answer, x equals 2. And this is how you answer a question like this. Now, let me see if we have other questions that we have to cover on this topic. We covered solving, and we covered factorizing and solving, same idea. Now we covered factorizing using double brackets. So let's talk about solving using the breaking the elements factorizing, which is this one here. Now, this one is already factorized, so I'm going to solve it, and then I'll take another question, factorize it using the same method, and then solve it. First, let's cover this here, so we can work here. So we have x multiplied by x minus 10 equals 0. Same idea. We take the first part of the expression, which is this one, and we make it equal to 0. So that's the first part of answering. So x will equal 0. And this is the first answer of this solving part. Now, the second part, I'm going to take the bracket, which is this one, and I'm going to make it equal to 0 and solve it for x. Same steps, same idea that we did before. So x minus 10 equals 0. And then we take the negative 10 to the other side. So x will equal positive 10. And this is the second answer for this equation. So the first answer is x equals 0, and the second answer is x equals 10. Now, let's move on to another question. Let me show you a question that you need to factorize using this method, and then solve it. So factorizing double brackets, we did it here. This is factorizing using breaking down the elements. So this is double brackets, nothing in common. Here we have something in common. This means you have to break down the elements to their prime factors. So let's take one of them, for example, this one. They have the same ideas. So once you understand one of them, you can answer the rest of the questions. Let's cover these. Last question for this topic here. So here we have x squared plus 23x equals 0. Now, we're factorizing this. And as we said, in factorizing, we have two methods. The first method is the double bracket method. The second one is breaking down the elements to its prime factors. Now, in the double bracket method and the breaking down the elements, you have to decide which one to use. Now, basically here, because we have something in common between this element and this element, this means what? This means we have to break them down to their prime factors. So here we have the x. The x squared means what? It means x times x. And here, this one is 23x. You can write it as x multiplied by 23, like this. Now, after breaking down the elements, I'm going to check which ones are in common. The common ones are 1x. So I'm going to take one of them and write it in the answer like this. And then open a bracket. So what did I leave in this group? I left x. And what's the sign? It's positive. And then what did I leave here? I left 23. And then I close the bracket, and then I put equals 0, like this, equals 0. Now, after doing this part, which is factorizing, I have to solve. Now, to solve this, as we did before, I'm going to say that the first part here will equal 0, like this. So this means that x equals 0. Now, I'm going to take the second part, same idea. Take the second part, which is the bracket, and make it equal to 0. So here, x plus 23 equals 0. Now, I'm going to take the 23 to the other side and change the sign. So x will equal negative 23. And this is how you answer a question like this. So basically, we factorized using the breaking down the elements method. And then we used the factorizing answer to solve the equation by making each part of the expression equal to 0, and we solve it for x, or we found the values of x that makes it 0. That's it for this question and this topic. I hope I covered everything in this topic. I think all the questions are the same. This one is a double bracket method because We talked about this before. If you have nothing in common, it means it's a double bracket method. And because there are two elements, it means the numbers should be the same. So here, this one should be x minus 8, and then x plus 8, like this. Because 8 times 8 equals 64. And then you make it equal 0. And then in solving, you say this one equals to 0. And then you take the 8 to the other side. It's going to be x equals 8. So you say x minus 8 equals 0. You take the 8 to the other side, so x equals 8. That's the first part. Second part, which is this one, x plus 8 equals 0. You take the 8 to the other side, so x equals negative 8. And these answers are the two answers for this question. Same idea here. Now, if you have a big number and you don't know how to find it, you can square root the number. You can square root the number. So you come to the calculator, use the square root of 169. So square root of 169, and the answer is 13. So the double brackets here will be x minus 13 and x plus 13. So x minus 13, close bracket, and x plus 13, close bracket, and then equals to 0. And in the solving, you're going to do the same steps here. This one equals 0. You take the 13 to the other side. So x equals 13. And the first one, x equals 13. Second one, x plus 13 equals 0. You take 13 to the other side. So x will equal negative 13. And this is how you answer a question like this. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.